views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Wow, everybody, welcome. I want to super welcome you. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Welcome to Get Into It Radio, winning at the game of life with my host, co-host, sidekick, Lynn Brown. And the reason that this is important to really talk about is because I get, albeit for a short period of time sometimes, to spend some time with people as they step into their yes, and they don't even know what that even means. But there's something about willingness that is so activated right now. I think it's one of the most important energies we have at the moment. And it's an energy, by the way, I believe has gone dormant over the past almost 10 years. But there's something about this energy that is coming to the forefront. You know, there's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to be talked about. Today, I love what Lynn Brown has created. And when she and I first talked about this, I had no idea. I had no idea that what we would be talking about is not a new paradigm for talking about money and finance, because that's been done before. But it's no paradigm at all. It is unrestricted energy of abundance, radically being provided in our consciousness and mindset that captures the full essence of every single thing we are. And what I love about what Lynn is doing is, as she calls it, full spectrum. So what does that mean? That means if you got a little creepy crawly thing hiding under a rock, right, Benny? Little creepy crawly thing that Benny and I know a lot about. Sometimes we can get them hiding under a rock. It's time to get that thing out. Just get it out of there. Not to be afraid to look at money, to say the word prosperity, and to welcome in, as some people say, usher in an era of prosperity. Today's show is about that. Lynn Brown, as we know, whatever I'm about to say about Lynn, she's much more than that. But here's what we know about her. Her yes, her expertise in the world of finance, her amazing intuition, energy healer, medium, business owner, but much more than that, completely dedicated to helping people, teams, groups, enhance their lives. And this is what today is about. Now, take that and magnify it to a global level. And what you get is a healing that must happen around our financial systems. Why? All you need to do is look at the billboards in the movies right now. All you need to do is just look at it. Blockbuster, nominated for Golden Globes. And what is that movie about? It's about the financial system. But what is it that people that are plugged into energy and understand it have to say about it? That's what today's show is about. I want to say to all of you out there, if you have got any questions, any comments, if you have said the words, I can't afford it, more times than you can imagine before this holiday season, this show is for you. If you're thinking, I wish I had a better Christmas, I wish I could do more, I wish I could have more, this show is for you. If you're sitting in a place where you really want to enjoy all the prosperity and abundance that honestly you can't even imagine, the show is for you. And that's why these phone lines are open now. Get ready to say goodbye to the restriction of what you believe is holding you back in the material world. Get ready to say yes to having as much abundance and prosperity as you want. Lynn, what a great show. Full spectrum finance.
Dr. Pat, I am so excited to be here today. I'm so excited to be talking about this topic. The energies that help me to bring some of this information forth that are helping me are so excited. I mean, I literally woke up out of my bed this morning just so excited. I can't wait to get this message out. I can't wait for people to start grabbing onto these tools, these new concepts, and to just help me to help the universe kind of ground in this new paradigm of prosperity that's at our fingertips.
Yeah. For so long, the idea of saving and planning has been thought from a very scarcity point of view. It hasn't been from, wow, let me save so I can have more than enough now and later. It's been, oh, my God, let me save because everything is going to crash. So tell me the new news.
Well, the new news is that, I have such a unique perspective and paradigm because I am in the trenches every day helping people with their day-to-day worries and fears and baggage, and they're all very real around finance, around budgeting, around reaching your financial goals and your physical goals. I am also on the front line in a very real sense on the energetic side. And especially in the last month or so, the amount of energy work I've been called to do from source and from the higher sources is kind of blowing my mind a little bit in an exciting way. So it's kind of like I get to look around the corner and see what's coming. I do look around the corner. I'm helping to facilitate what's coming from around the corner. But what I need help with is grounding that paradigm into the real, into the physical realm, right? And there is this separation of time that happens, but I can see what's coming, and I'm just excited about that. That perspective is really powerful to be able to have, and I kind of just need everybody's help of grounding the possibilities into the planet, helping to shift into this new era. Yeah,
because the whole idea of there not being enough, it causes wars. It causes people to fight their neighbors, right? I mean, how many feuds have you see over where a fence line is?
Right.
In a neighborhood. But, you're bringing a message to here today that is about prosperity and consciousness of prosperity.
Right.
And many people don't really understand consciousness, prosperity together. But the very makeup of how you decided to be here as both a financial planner, intuitive, energy healer, and so forth, has been to integrate that.
Yeah, and it's coming together more rapidly. I didn't quite see all the puzzle pieces before, but now is the time. Now is not just the time for me as Lynn Brown putting these puzzle pieces together, but now is the time for the planet and everybody hearing this today. I've really been called forth to bring these together. Prosperity. So what is the consciousness of prosperity? I'm going to say this in a very high level, but everything has a vibration. I've talked about that before. Everything is energy. Everything resonates at a certain measurable vibration. And prosperity is, in fact, a very real vibration.
Yeah.
And if we can start to just talk about prosperity more and allow that vibration into our world, into our language, it begins to vibrate everything else around us and internally at the vibration of prosperity. Let us take a second and say, feel what the vibration of prosperity feels like. Imagine for a second that you have plenty of everything. I mean everything, because prosperity is not just the dollar bill.
Right.
It's not the Chinese dollar.
Right.
It's not the, Russian dollar.
Right.
So we need to expand our consciousness around what this really is, and what that is just a tool. Those things are just tools.
Yeah. I mean, the idea goes back civilizations, right?
Right.
I mean, it goes back. And the way that, I think you're bringing it to the forefront again is to look at prosperity in terms of abundance. And, even if we go back generations, hundreds, thousands of years, we can point to what all of those things have meant for people, right?
Right.
Not just dollars, but enough of whatever that is for people to live the lives they want.
Right. Right. You know, if we do go back, and here's part of it. Here's the energetic side. We need to really do go back to since the beginning of time, you know, and we need someone in the game to start changing the game. Someone that's in the boat to start changing the boat, and I kind of need everybody to jump in the game. You know, there's this thought out there that spirituality doesn't equal money, and you kind of have to choose. But I know that's not true, because I can see both paradigms. I live in both worlds, and I'm grounded in both worlds, and I can do it very well. And I know that prosperity is here for all of us to live out all of our dreams and desires on the physical planet, right? Mm-hmm. So, but let's take a look at some of these things that have been haunting us and that are very real to our physical bodies. One of them is that we all have so much fear and stress around money. We have since the beginning of time. This is just the root of being stressed about survival.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, right.
So it's not like we shouldn't have had those, but now it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to graduate from high school to college, or from, you know, it's just time to move on. Those are very real things that happened in the past and still happen to us today. We're constantly stressing about those things. Another side of it is our family lineage stories and fears are transferred through our DNA. I mean, some people might not be able to grasp that yet, but it's very real. Again, I can see it in our energetic makeups. It's one of the things that blocks people from having money. Some people think there's too much responsibility in having money, or I have to work too hard for having money, or if I take $10, that means I'm taking $10 away from somebody else. And those are all stories that have been passed down since the beginning of time and through our family DNA. It's kind of like, well, how does my mom have blue eyes and I have blue eyes?
Right.
There's no, you know, some people can't believe that. Well, it's real. We know we pass stuff through our DNA. So now I'm talking about how can we start shedding those things. And it's not as hard as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes the conscious decision to say, okay, there might be some things tripping me up here. There might be some boogeymen under the rocks, like you said.
Exactly.
And just let it go.
What are some of those things? What are some of the things that hold people back from embracing, you know, a full spectrum perspective? You know, where do we get tripped up by ourselves?
Well, I think the biggest one is that people have learned to see money as there's a limited resource. Money as a, you know, there's only, let's say, 1 billion units. And so we all have to fight over it. Mm-hmm. Kind of like what you were saying about resources, right? And that's just not true. It's not true. I know that that's not true because everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're creating your own world. All of us are creating our own world. Whatever we believe, that's real. And if we believe that there's a limited amount of resources, then there is. But in the universal sense, how energy works, we literally could, if we could tap back into the essence of our soul and what we're really able to do, we literally can take energy and manifest these things in front of us.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, we can point to some very specific people. A 10-year-old that decides to sell lemonade to raise millions to end childhood slavery. And, you know, in the world we live in, one of the most highly unlikely people to be able to do that. But why are they able to do that? How are they able to get out into the world? Well, they're not really blocked. They're not blocked by our fears. They're not blocked by the limitation. They don't even have a sense, really, at 10, I don't think, of, you know, if there actually is a ceiling. Right? And so we have carried some of that baggage forward in our lineage about what we think is possible.
Yeah.
So where have we put the cap on our possibilities?
Well, I think we've put the cap on, on almost everything. And, you know, literally almost everything. It has to do with earning power. It has to do with what we're told from our parents that we should or shouldn't do. We shouldn't take more than we can eat. We should, just all these very limiting, money is evil, right? These sayings that we're growing up with being taught, and they're all very limiting. And the thing is, I think, we try to be so good. Our nature, I think, is to be so good. So we try to please people by not taking more than we can eat, not taking money more than what we need, right? But for me, I see it as, if we're being gifted these things, why not store more food for the winter so that in the winter months we can live in peace and plenty and prosperity? And that frees our body up from stress. It frees our physical body up from fear. And it allows us to be in that natural state of, I'm going to say it again, plenty and prosperity, where we get to focus on the things that we want to focus on, and we get to focus on the things that bring our soul joy and it's ease, right? So why not capture the bountiful blessings that the universe gives us, whether it be in the form of a dollar bill, a gold coin, a silver coin, bread, clothing. Why not allow the planet to gift us those things? And the more that we have, the more at ease we can do and focus on our true spiritual calling. It's
really interesting. I learned something really interesting being homeless, albeit I wasn't homeless like for years and years and years. It was a moment in time for me, and it was very real. And one of the things I think that you get is when you're in that place where you have to look around and see what's available, you are shocked by how much is available. You are shocked by the fact that you could live on what people throw away. That is it. That's the reality of what we, in this country I'm talking about. But that is the reality. And that was like many years ago. But even today, that's a reality. You can literally live pretty well. You're not going to go hungry in this country if you live by a major city, because what we throw away is enough to feed entire families. And so, but yet you wake up every day and we have the fear that there's not going to be enough. Tell us about money karma.
Well, karma in the first place, I believe, needs to be talked about. What have we experienced not only throughout this lifetime, but what have we experienced in past lifetimes, right? Because I did mention, we bring stuff through the family lineage.
Right.
But there's a whole nother aspect that we're missing here. Sometimes we might have this innate fear of something and we don't understand why, right? Or this innate, just like this random rejection of something. Including money, including prosperity, including love. And that comes from karma. That comes from a past life experience that maybe you haven't resolved yet. You haven't allowed yourself to heal or release yet. That's what karma is. It's what did you do in past lives that you're bringing forth to this life? That you don't have to embody that anymore.
Well, how about the financial systems, Lynn? This is really what's fascinating. We got this movie that's coming out right here. And, it's all about the financial, what do we call it? Meltdown that we had, right? This movie where these guys knew, right? Is it possible to have, this karma based on entire systems of things? Because, we are really in this place right now where we're looking at this idea of economic systems, things that are feeding the systems, and our own personal piece of the pie.
Absolutely.
What is my piece of the pie? Am I ever going to have that?
Absolutely.
And it's fascinating. Somebody made a comment the other day. It was really interesting. I was out and about and just chit-chatting, and the comment kind of was, well, if I had enough money, I could run for president too. And there's this idea that you cannot run for president of the United States unless you have money. And I guess that is a reality.
Yeah.
But what is it that makes us think that we could not get the money? Right?
Right.
Right. I may not have it today, but what is it that automatically is shutting the door? Shut that door. Slam that door. That is shut.
Yeah. Those are just beliefs that are ingrained and filtered all through our system. And it really does. It puts our body in almost like a shock survival mode. And we just can't think straight. It's like waking up out of a dream and you're just kind of discombobulated. I honestly feel like that's where most of us are right now. But what I can see is if we can clear out, if we can do some healing around those things, it's almost like a clog, a drain that's clogging hair. Yeah, that's what I see, kind of. And if we can just pull out that hair, it's effortless. The water starts flowing. It's effortless. The prosperity and the money starts flowing, and you don't have to know where it's going to come from. And that's another block. If we limit where we think it can come from, you're shutting that door. If I need a plane ticket to Mount Shasta, let's say, in the next couple weeks, which I think I do, who in the heck knows where that's going to come from? It could come from my bank account. I could find money laying down somewhere. Somebody could say I have extra air miles. I'm putting it out there to the universe. How am I going to get this? If I limit myself, then I'm shutting that door. But I already know, since I just put it out there and I know I'm going to go, something's going to show up for me. And here's the next key, and I really hope that people can hear this. When that miracle arrives, when that gift arrives, I need to receive it.
Yeah.
I need to receive it. If you
energetically as well as physically.
Physically, right?
Don't you really think about how many people get a gift and are like, no, why would you give me that?
No,
it's
that's
like,
one of the biggest things. And if you can catch yourself doing that and just stop yourself, and it might feel uncomfortable for the first 100 times because you're so ingrained to reject that. But no, whatever you're rejecting physically is only a small portion of what you're rejecting energetically. And I just won't reject it. If you're going to give me a gift, if there's strings attached, that's your problem.
Well, you know,
I'm going to take this gift because I don't want to block myself.
But it's really interesting we're talking about this because at an individual level, this is this. But then we have multiple levels. We have, a level of the community, a level of, the business systems. Then we have, the system of financial system we have in the United States. Then, of course, we have individual country systems. Then we have a global system. And it's hard for us to mechanically see that my individual piece mechanically is tied to that, but consciously and emotionally, I know it is.
Right.
And so I'm going to do or not do things because I picked up the news or I saw something happening over there, and I'm going to tighten up my belt. How often have you, Lynn, heard that expression in the past 5, 6, 7 years?
It's really
in the business, in the world you live in.
It's everywhere. And you know what's interesting that you just say that, because about 3 days ago, there was something in me that was saying, you know what? I do not want to watch any news anymore. I really don't. And I was thinking, why? Because I was having a conversation. I was getting a download, because this information was coming to me, and it was important. And it's like, Lynn, you need to create a movement to a movement, literally, a global movement, no more news. And I was like, okay, why? This is why. Because when you're watching the news, it's creating your world. When you're not watching the news, you're creating your world. Right? And the news, and I am not a big watcher of news, but for some reason the last 2 or 3 weeks I've really been
plugged
in.
Plugged in.
Yep, but it was for this lesson. I know it was for this lesson because I get to see what people are seeing. And I was telling my husband, I go, you know what? I just don't want that time. Say it's 10 minutes I'm watching the news. I don't want to use my time like that anymore. I don't want to use my energy like that. That's 10 minutes that I could have back to create my own reality, to at least be at a neutral state, right? Because the information that's coming through on the news puts you in it's giving us a lower vibration, and it becomes our reality. We literally believe that that's our reality. But if we didn't know that was what's happening in the world, I could think that everything is peaches and cream out there.
But isn't the reality of this is that the entire system in this country, by the way, the ownership of the news is really in the idea that people will watch if we continue to feed the fear.
Yeah. Right. And that's why
feed
I'm
the
saying
fear.
I agree. And I think those systems, yes, there's two different questions I think there. Yes, there are systems there are your own systems, and then there are United States systems, and there are global systems. Those are some of the things, and I hope we get to touch on those. Those are some of the things that I've been working on energetically. Yeah. And I can give some people some really good insight into that. So I've been healing those systems. I've been helping to change those systems. Yes, some of those systems are ran based on fear, but if we unplug from those systems, then those systems crumble.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing I want to say, and this is really for you to talk about. Are the people that are like uber successful financially, how much fear do we think is in their consciousness portfolio? So let's talk about our consciousness portfolio, right? I mean, we got a portfolio, we got the stocks, we got this, that, but there's also a consciousness portfolio, right? And, everybody points to the Dalai Lama as if the Dalai Lama doesn't know how to make money. That is like not true, right? The Dalai Lama and, his entire team walk the earth, ask for money, and do good work.
Right.
Where is the hang-up between consciousness, spirituality, and money-making? Where is the disconnect? Is it that we're focusing on people that we think, oh, man, that person is not really a cool person, but they're rich, as opposed to looking at the people that may be rich? I mean, why aren't we talking about Bono, right?
Right.
The YouTube guy. YouTube. Look at what I said, Benny. The YouTube guy, right? Why not him?
Right.
Or maybe we can talk about the Facebook guy that now's got doing $1 million or $10 million contest for something. But yet we just want to point to the people as counterexamples about how I can argue for my own limitation. When we come back, Lynn's going to walk us through what she's doing to change, to shift the financial systems. What is it about Full Spectrum Financial that is all about creating healing, shifting, and infusing love in the financial conversation? What is the vibration of a financial system? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
A morning filled with dynamic, inspirational music, spirituality, and uplifting messages by TJ Woodward. Come and connect with community conversations and awaken your senses. Awakened Living Sundays with TJ Woodward. Join TJ every Sunday in the San Francisco Bay Area Chapel at Fort Mason and live streaming online 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time. To learn more and access the live stream, visit www.awakenedlivingsf.org. Has asthma or allergies got you singing the raspy blues? Allergy and Asthma Networks is the nation's premier nonprofit patient-centered network of doctors, caregivers, patients, and healthcare professionals who are dedicated to ending death and suffering due to asthma, allergies, and related conditions. Join President and CEO Tanya Winders each month on the Dr. Pat Show to learn more and visit allergyasthmanetwork.org today. Breathe better together with Allergy and Asthma Network. The new era of financial planning is upon us, where it is just as important to focus on your inner wealth game as it is your outer wealth game. Would you like to be in the forefront of this new groundbreaking financial movement? Lynn Brown, award-winning financial planner, energy coach, and international radio host, will share real, actionable money wisdom infused with empowering tips, fear-busting exercises, and money-growing magnetism. Are you ready to create your fully financially healthy life? Join Lynn for this free 2-hour full-spectrum financial planning workshop in Bellevue, Washington on January 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. Register by January 5th as space is limited and will fill up fast. Call in today at 425-372-4749. That's 425-372-4749. Light food and beverages will be included. See you there.
If you're one of the millions of Americans suffering from anxiety, you probably know how powerless and out of control this emotion can make you feel. This is why it is so important to remember that anxiety is created by your mind, which means that you can learn to use your mind to uncreate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. My award-winning book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution, provides you with a step-by-step breakthrough process to understand and resolve the root causes of your anxiety and build a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. If you're ready to take your power back, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com. That's thefearandanxietysolution.com, or call 866-903-6463. That's 866-903-MIND.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is so great. Lynn Brown is in the house. And before Lynn really talks about full spectrum finance and what that means, and the work that she's doing in the world, I want to make sure that you guys know how to get more information about Lynn, how you can work with her one-on-one in a wide range of venues. And then also, there are many, many things that Lynn does in the world. She does classes. And we have a special gift today for one of you. In a minute, I will open up the phone lines, and one of you will receive a 30-minute session with Lynn. And Mr. Benny, of course, is going to get your information. But what is the best way for people to find out more about you? They can go to your new website, yeah?
They can go to my new website. It's not totally complete, but it's, I would say, 90% complete.
It's a work in progress.
It's going to get you to me, and it's going to give you the best perspective of who I am and what I'm doing. So that's at lynnmbrown.com. lynnmbrown.com.
And it's Lynn with two N's.
Correct.
Perfect. Now, for one of you out there, did you hear me at the beginning of the show? If you were tuning in, I was like, okay, how many times so far this year have you either said or thought around this holiday season, I can't afford it? Have you thought about it? Have you looked at something and thought, oh, I like it, and then, oh, no, I can't afford it? This is a level of consciousness that Lynn is going to talk about here in a minute. Believe it or not, that thought is grounded in our financial systems, and she's going to take us on a journey of why and how to heal it. But for one of you, whether it's working on your finances or setting an intention for the year or living in your full intuition, this is the way that you can work with Lynn. It's a fabulous gift, 30 minutes with Lynn on what is ailing you. 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. Give us a call, first caller. And Mr. Benny, say hi to Mr. Benny, and we'll give your information to Lynn. All right, Lynn, let's talk about this, the financial systems. First of all, many people don't believe they have an energy, or they have an energy that we have anything that we can do much about.
Right.
And yet you're creating a movement.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tell us about why this is important to you, and what is it that has now catapulted you to address some of the financial systems.
This is important to me because this is my calling. I've been placed in a very unique position where I can, again, speak to both sides of these coins, and or both sides of the bridge. And I'm going to use that analogy, a bridge. Because this is how it came to me. I've spent 11 years in the trenches of the financial industry, and I think that's critical because now I know the systems. Now I can, if I'm going to ground in higher levels of consciousness, I can do that in the physical systems, and I can help people navigate those systems with confidence and certainty. We can get in there in those trenches, and we can help help change this movement. Few people can talk about these concepts energetically, I think, as energetic healings. Not very many people are talking, even the people who are focused on spiritual energetic healings and the energetic, the ascension, few people are talking about, well, what's behind door number 4, which is the money door.
Yeah.
And so that's a big, scary door, I think, that I want to help people get in there and conquer and become more senior to and clean it out, because it's a really icky door, right? We need to face that. But even fewer people can actually take these concepts and begin to blend and implement them into financial systems to represent a higher consciousness. it takes an understanding of both worlds and a heart-centered desire to lead people into these new systems. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm going to be doing. It's a lot more than what I could say here on air, but I am putting out the classes for it. I'm handing out the tools for it because I want people to start changing the planet. And here, and I'm going to take you guys behind the curtain now.
Yeah.
What I'm doing energetically, and it will give you guys a really good sense because you can help me do this. We can all do this. It's not just me. It's just I'm aware of it. So now everybody will be aware of it. About a year ago, I started to get information on the energy of money and the energy of manifestation and creation, and really how everything is created by energy and our intention. So I began to work with Ascended Masters, and they started to show me these things. And I didn't really understand the criticalness of it until now. But I began to see and understand the mechanics of creating all things, including different physical forms of prosperity. And many people can talk about prosperity from an energetic perspective, but cannot guide people once they get the physical prosperity, right? So it's like on the other end of a spectrum, money managers can guide you through the systems, but can't address the inner wealth or inner healing aspects, or be with you in the heart-centered decisions that many of us are choosing to make throughout our lives, right? A lot of us are starting to choose towards more heart-centered decisions versus, well, what did the statistics and the data say, right? And it takes guts to start to change that paradigm. And most people in the financial systems just can't do that. They don't have that awareness. We have to start combining these two worlds because they're not two worlds anymore. They're not. I just have to say that with all the conviction. They're not two worlds.
Right.
Once you have money, so for example, like once you have money or real estate or bills or cash flow, you have to still be able to stay in alignment with decisions that are for your highest good. These are what I would call heart-centered decisions. I love that perspective because everything we're doing now and moving towards is heart-centeredness. Once you get the asset, you don't stop the energy work or the manifestation. Yeah,
we do though.
Process,
we do.
Right, but you're not supposed to.
I know. We get a little good going on in our lives, and we forget to say thank you, or we forget the practice that got us the good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally get you.
And that's what I'm saying is, what and I don't think that's everybody's. I think that's what we have taught people before. I think that energy people, and I'm one of them. So. I'm not saying anything bad about what we have taught people in the past, but energy people have typically given all that they could and said, okay, meditate, think positively, and then get the goods, and then that's where the teaching stops because they couldn't cross over the bridge onto the physical aspect side. They didn't have the tools. Vice versa on the physical side. People with the money only understood the money systems, but they couldn't cross the bridge to get to the heart-centered and energy piece.
I think the other thing, Lynn, you should talk about, too, is one of the things you touched upon a few minutes ago, and that is we actually get a little bit of something, and then we feel ashamed to A, keep it or want more of it. You see, isn't it really interesting what you talked about with the two sides of the bridge? And we think that if we get a little something of abundance here, it is not good. It is not okay to want more. That's greed.
Right. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I get where it comes from, but I don't get it anymore. We have to release that because the images that I'm getting, and I can interpret these images energetically. With what's coming is there's a bridge, right? And there's this bridge that's been shown to me for the last year, and it's changing. And the bridge, if you split it up into three parts, is, coming from the right, it's the physical aspects. And then from the left, it's the energetic aspects. And usually there wasn't an overlap. But there's an overlap now. And that middle third of the bridge is where the sweet spot is. It's the spot of prosperity. It's the spot of balance. And it's balance. It's balance within yourself. It's balance within giving and receiving. It's balance within plenty. It's balance within prosperity. It's balance within all the forms of prosperity in the money systems. It's balance within the physical world and the spiritual world. And isn't that what we're all dealing with since what we've been born, right? It's not just about money. Money is just a reflection of really what's going on in your energetic system. It's just another way to reflect back to you, how are you really running your systems? Are they out of balance? Are they in balance? And to me, it's just a balance. And this new image that I'm seeing is when you're in that middle third, you are in balance. You are both in the spiritual realm and you're in the physical realm. That's called planet Earth, right? You're a soul in a body on Earth, and you're over this part of the bridge where the water's running. But it's not water, it's gold. It's liquid gold that's running. And that, to me, can't be any clearer that that's the sweet spot. It's all about balance, and it's just about releasing those beliefs, cleaning out the cobwebs, cleaning out the hair out of those drains. So there are two aspects, and celebrate the gifts that the universe are giving you because you deserve it and believe you deserve it. I think that's one of the biggest trip ups we have too, is how much are you willing to appreciate yourself?
Yeah. It's interesting. We have this idea that's going on. Maybe you can touch upon it. We'll skip break because we've got a lot to cover here. For those of you out there, if you didn't hear me before, we'd love to give you a 30-minute session with Lynn and the Ascended Masters. 1-800-930-2819. Give us a call. First caller, 1-800-930-2819. It's really interesting. If you want to play professional basketball, you practice and practice, then you get on a team. You don't stop practicing, right?
Right.
I mean, you could, but you don't.
No.
Because you're really wanting to stay in the game.
Right.
And yet, if we are in the prosperity game and we want to stay in it, we have to have the same idea to know that we have to continue to practice. And it may not be practicing what we've just practiced. It may be learning some new things, right?
Right. It's almost like, it's funny because I grew up playing basketball. It's almost like somebody comes to me really talented with just like a lot of talent, but they've never had coaching, right?
Yeah. And
this is going to sound really ridiculous, but it's almost like they didn't realize they even had a left hand. Right? So they're playing, they're out there shooting, they're keeping up with everybody on the court. But I'm like, you're good, you're great, it's all raw talent, you haven't been coached, and what the heck? Why are you never using your left hand?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I didn't even know I had a left hand. What's a left hand? Right? So now, if that person really wants to go to the next level, they have to consciously accept that they have a left hand that they never even knew. And they need to start working those muscles. They need to start training those muscles. They need to start being consciously aware and being senior to what that new left hand can do. The hand isn't new. It's always been there.
Right.
Just like the prosperity's always been there. It's just turning on new muscles, addressing new layers of consciousness, being more aware and senior to your ideas, objectives, just like the news. Turn the news off.
Yeah.
Create your own world.
Yeah. So let's talk. I mentioned that, you work with the Ascended Masters, and because we're talking about prosperity and spirituality together.
Right.
But rarely do we combine the two in a way that is about calling in the vibration of abundance. Usually by the time we get to talk to Ascended Masters or God or Spirit or Jesus or whoever you believe in, we're like, please, help me, give me that money, give me that job. That's what we do when we're at the point of desperation. But you are talking about doing something different, something proactive.
Right.
You're not saying, wow, let's wait for us to have a crisis. This is what we can do now.
Right.
So what do you do with the Ascended Masters, and how can you help the people you're working with do the same around money?
Right. Well, I'm going to just kind of talk about what I've been experiencing. And first of all, Saint Germain is leading the heavenly realm on this
leading the band.
Yeah, on this new prosperity movement. Saint Germain is my boy. He came to me about 2 years ago, no mistake. He was starting to train me. He was starting to train me on how to shapeshift energy, how to really understand energy, how to start feeling and understand the consciousness, that everything has a consciousness. Everything comes to the planet, knowing what role they are going to play in this ascension process. Everything, literally. So he started having me be wind. He's like, Lynn, be wind. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? He goes, no, be the consciousness of wind. See how the wind sees, feel how the wind feels.
Wow.
Feel the expansion of it. And there I was, and I was wind. And he says, now become the consciousness of water. So I dropped down into the water, but it was my body floating in water, like most of us would probably imagine. He goes, no, Lynn, become the consciousness of water. So what was left was I have to release and surrender, and I was viewing and feeling as the waves and as the water feels. I was sensing what it sensed. I was being the consciousness of water. Now, if you can understand that everything has its own consciousness, and it's just on a level of vibration, if you want to be that thing, you can just be that thing. Now, I know this is way off the charts. This is like really stretching our minds, but this is where it all started for me. And he started training me. Now be water, now be fire, now be air. And what he was leading me up to was something that happened about 2 months ago. And he says, now, Lynn, I want you to sit down with the consciousness of money. And I want you to let money, feel what money feels, feel what money has been through, feel if money is rightly deserving the bad name it has. And you know what money said to me? Money came to me and asked for a healing. It was so sad. He said, I'm just a tool. My consciousness is I came to this planet to serve anything that you want. I'm just a tool. So whoever's hands I'm in, I'm serving their desires. And I have to surrender to that. That's my will. I have to surrender to your free will. Do you want to use me to commit murder? I have to go along with the deal. Do you want to use me to feed tens and thousands of people? Then that's the deal. But it's got a bad rap. So it's got all these emotions. I mean, it cried. I started crying. Its heart was just... So this consciousness is, when you begin to see money, and I sat down and St. Germain took me through this with copper, with platinum, with gold, with silver, because he's getting me ready for the changes that are happening on the planet, that I'm guiding people through. It's like you're sitting with a person, because each thing is a living thing. It has its own living consciousness. And when you can begin to understand the life through the eyes of money, you start to not resent it anymore. You start to value it. You start to appreciate it. You start to say, okay, I guess you're not going to hurt me. You don't need to stand out on my porch. Come into my home, have dinner with me. And that's crazy, but this is literally what he's taking me through, is this awareness of consciousness. Everything has a consciousness, and it's here to play a very, very, very specific role in our ascension.
And so what you're doing then is, you're now taking this message which was given to you. This is now really you taking this new level of consciousness, this healing of money, therefore healing ourselves to the forefront. Then.
To the planet. It's not about Bellevue, Washington. It's not. This is to the planet as fast as I can humanly do it. Not even humanly. I have so many helpers, so many ascended masters and angels helping me, and I just have to be the conduit, and I'm willing to do that. But that's why I'm saying this today is like, I hope you guys can feel it in my heart. This is just like, I'm really calling for each of us to help ground in the new possibilities of plentiness and of loving ourselves and just letting all of this reign and trusting that we can all shift not only ourselves, but the new systems. And I want to touch on the systems and what I've been doing there, because I think it'll be a great healing for everybody who hears it. So originally, I do a lot of healing for the planet and whatnot, but again, St. Germain and Jesus and a couple others have come to me and said, Lynn, we need you to work on a project, and it's the financial project. And so I said, okay, tell me what to do. And so Saint Germain said, well, just stand here and run gold light from your hands through these through the financial matrix. And I thought, well, what the heck is that? So I look, and what it looked like to me was like this massive set of fiber optic lines that run throughout the whole planet. And it was showing me that it runs underneath the corporations, underneath the so this is at a very corporate level, okay? So it's running through the financial companies, it's running through the stock market. These are the financial systems of the corporations on the planet. So he says, just stand here and run your gold energy through these systems. And so I did, and I can do that. Every day I'll wake up and I'll say, okay, is this what I'm doing again? And he eventually said, no, we need to shift you to do something else. So, but I want to talk about what I was doing when I was running that light through the financial matrix. I was running that gold light, liquid gold light, with the intent of flushing out, bringing to the surface, and transmuting all the non-truth and low vibrations that live in that financial current system, bringing us more rapidly to a reset where we're able to move forward in pure truth and transparency. This is literally what I see happening to the new systems that will be coming through. But we have to, just like we have to clean out our body systems, we have to flush out the current systems. It doesn't mean everything on the planet crumbles and we have to start from scratch, but we can flush that out, right, and create space for a new group of people and a new group of conscious, heart-centered systems to come through. I had this. He also showed me this image of, we all probably have played the game Tetris, where the blocks are supposed to fit perfectly, but sometimes they don't. And so he was showing me that the global scale of our financial system and how these Tetris blocks had these air pockets. And to me, I asked what the air pockets are, and he's like, well, those are pockets of deception. Those are air pockets of non-truth. And he said, shake it. So my job was to shake these blocks so that the air pockets would pop, right? And so then eventually the Tetris game became a new system and it became solid, right? And so as I'm doing this energetically each day, I'm paying attention, well, what's happening and shifting on the physical plane? And then I also saw this black stuff coming up through the bottom, kind of squirming as this black liquid, thick, and it took me about a week of working with this to realize that it was oil, right? And it was the oil had to work its way to the surface to help with this reset. And then, and so I knew there was something that is happening with the oil. It's not my job to, I'm just paying attention on the physical side, how these systems are changing. But if you notice, there's been a lot going on with the oil, and it has to do with the prosperity movement. It has to do with reshifting of these systems, and you'll see it start to keep manifesting. And then the next thing that he asked me to do was switch the gold that I'm running through the fiber optic lines to a hot white gold. I didn't quite understand what that meant. I'm just doing what I'm asked. But it was definitely, it's time to turn up the heat, Lynn.
Wow.
This is like the last piece of this financial, this flush out. And then the whole imagery changed. He took me a little bit higher and he showed me the globe, a picture of the globe. And it was this gold trough just around the planet Earth, almost that looked like a Saturn ring. And it was a trough though of gold. And I said, wow, well what am I supposed to do with this? And he said, well, stir it you're a kid stirring a potion. So, or you're an adult stirring
That's a metaphor, by the way.
I know.
That stir the pot is a metaphor.
Oh, it's mind blowing what I was seeing and what's really happening. So, it's stirring this. But what I got was it was gold for a reason, and I saw this Saturn ring and I inquired about it. And to me, the intuitive information that came to me was that this is moving to be our one currency. That the globe has to reset to be on one currency so that we're all equal. Now, where we sit from our perspective right now on the planet, some people might not see how that can happen, but this is not regular times. This is times for miracles, and we're moving and we're shifting. So I really hope that everybody can feel it, can believe it, and start grounding in those miracles and those possibilities with me.
Well, more to come from Lynn Brown. Lynn and Brown, everybody. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.